What is up, everybody? Welcome to CTF Sharon Talks Football and happy Tuesday. Today I'm going to be giving you guys my Week 7 NFL reactions. Without wasting any time, let's get started with the video. Alright, the first game we had of the week was Thursday Night Football. We had the Senior Bowl. We had the Steelers losing to the Bengals at home in an upset. This was a very fun game to watch. It felt like classic NFL. You just had the two oldest quarterbacks and players in general in the NFL going head to head, and Joe Flacco ended up being the better one. Now looking at the Steelers first, despite having 2 picks, Aaron Rodgers did have a very good game. He looked like vintage Rodgers again. Jaylen Warren had a great game. Pat Freiermuth had an amazing game. 5 receptions for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. He went off. Looking at the Bengals here, Joe Flacco, like I said, just played better. 342 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, no picks, 31 out of 47 attempts. He had a fantastic game. Chase Young finally had his breakout game of the season. 11 carries for 108 yards. And then receiving was very electric, having Jamar Chase leading with 16 receptions for 161 yards and a tutty, as well as T. Higgins having 6 receptions for 96 yards and a tutty. Like I said, very fun game to watch. Bengals definitely needed this win. Steelers needed this win as well, but this definitely keeps the AFC North a bit closer. Otherwise, it's been pretty underwhelming for the AFC North. Up next, we have the Rams destroying the Jaguars in London. I don't know why every single time I pick the Jaguars, I look like an ass the next day. Like, they look terrible. I don't even really know what to say, man. Like, the Jaguars have to be the most unpredictable team in football right now. Like, you'll either get the team that beat the Chiefs, or you'll get the team that just lost to the Rams while the Rams really didn't do anything. Like, looking at the Jaguars offense, they were dog shit. Like, Travis Hunter had a great game, but overall, it was a shit show. Travis Etienne had a horrible game. Trevor Lawrence, horrible game. Brian Thomas Jr. getting injured. Like, nothing was going well. And then, like I said, when you look at the Rams offense, they really didn't do anything. Like, Matthew Stafford only threw for 182 yards, but yet he threw 5 touchdowns. Look at Devontae Adams. He only had 35 receiving yards, but yet he had 3 touchdowns. Like, as the Jaguars, like, as a fan, like, I'd be asking, what the fuck happened, dude? Like, this was an embarrassing game. Alright, next we have the Eagles barely beating the Vikings. I was pretty right on this one. I knew this game was going to be close, but I knew the Eagles were going to get the win at the end because I do not think the Vikings are a very good team right now. Looking at the Vikings, like, this basically proves why Carson Wentz is no longer a starter anymore. He was getting destroyed by his old team. He was terrible completion-wise. He did have a lot of passing yards, but he didn't throw a single touchdown, but also threw 2 picks. Jordan Mason had a solid game, but it really didn't matter. And then looking at receiving, Jordan Addison had a great game, 9 for 128, while Justin Jefferson having 5 for 79. And then TJ Hawkinson, I understand his frustration with that catch, but it wasn't a catch, dude. Like, you need to calm down. And looking at the Eagles here, Jalen Hurts actually played a very good game. 19 for 23, 326 yards and 3 touchdowns. Actually throwing good passes deep downfield. Like, he was actually playing like a top 5 quarterback. Not gonna lie, I know defenses are planning around Saquon, but I'm still waiting for that one breakout game from him. We haven't seen anything like that yet. And then looking at the receiving, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown both had really great games. 9 for 183 passing yards and a touchdown, while A.J. Brown having 4 receptions for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns. See, this is what we were talking about earlier, Philadelphia. Like, yes, you guys were winning, but you guys looked boring as shit. And now you guys actually played a great game, and your offense actually looked good. Like, this is what we were talking about. Up next, we have the Patriots destroying the Titans with another Cam Ward shit show. Like, I know that the Titans are an awful team and franchise. I know they just fired their head coach, even though that was a good thing. And I know they don't have that much talent, but at the same time, bro, like, Cam Ward, even though it's his rookie year, so far, he's looked pretty ass. And yes, I will give him the benefit of the doubt. It also doesn't help that the team around him is also dog shit. Looking at the Patriots here, I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to think Drake May is getting closer to the top 5. I have him in the top 10 QBs right now. 21 for 23, 222 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, he's getting better every week, like I said last week. Ramondre actually had a pretty solid game, 88 yards and a touchdown. And then looking at the receiving, not really something to really write home about, but Stephon Diggs did lead with 7 receptions for 69 yards. Kayshon Boutte continuing to have a really great season. Overall, the Patriots have looked like a really good team. They are now 5-2 leading their division. Like, holy crap. Alright, now we got the Panthers barely sneaking by the Jets. The only thing I really have a question about, because I didn't really watch this game because this game was boring as hell. The only thing I have a question is, how the hell does Aaron Glenn still have a job? Like, it's a mess over there. Like, the Jets have already been bad enough, like, the last, like, I don't even know how many years, but this is, like, beyond bad. Like, Justin Fields is playing some of the worst football he's ever played. The defense is absolutely terrible, even though they only gave up 13 points. And their offense is just dead. Like, there's nothing to look at in New York. Like, the Panthers didn't have to try. Bryce Young was decent, but he got injured. Rico Dowdle had a good game, but other than that, the running wasn't that great. And then Xavier Legette had a great game, but other than that, receiving wasn't even that good. Like, the Panthers really didn't have to try, and they still won. Like, how does Aaron Glenn still have a job? Alright, now we have the Browns destroying the Dolphins. Basically the same thing I was just talking about in the game before, but there is more to talk about here. But in the same discussion, how does Mike McDaniel still have a job? Like, the Dolphins look absolutely dead. This is some of the worst football I think that I've ever seen them play in a while. And they're not doing anything about it. Tua and Mike McDaniel are bringing out, like, the most brain-dead interviews after these games, and they're not having any accountability of why they're losing. Like, it's dead over there. Like, Dolphins fans really need to appreciate Devon Achane, because if you guys didn't have him, like, there'd be nothing to watch over there. Like, even Jalen Waddle's not having the games he should. Now, looking at the Browns here, again, Dylan Gabriel didn't have to do a damn thing. Like, he only threw 116 yards, and he only threw 13 completions out of 18 attempts. Looking at the running, Judkins not really doing much average-wise, but overall he did have a great game. 3 touchdowns, like, that's good. And then looking at the receiving, they really didn't do much, but when you got to really look at Cleveland-wise is their defense. So many sacks across the board and 3 interceptions. Like, the Browns' defense was all over the Dolphins here. Like I said, embarrassing game by Miami, and I don't know how any of these two head coaches have a job. Up next, we have the Bears beating the Saints pretty humbly, honestly. Like, when people are asking me why I was picking the Bears to whoop the Saints, not by a close game, this is why. Like, I know this team too well. Like, I've watched them for so many years now. I knew this was going to be a difficult game for New Orleans, more than it should have been. Like, look at the Saints here. Spencer Rattler probably had the worst game of his season so far. 3 picks. Like, the Bears, again, they didn't have to do anything. Caleb Williams had a shit game. DeAndre Swift had a great game. Give it props to him. But overall, they didn't do much. It's just that Spencer Rattler kept giving them the fucking ball. Up next, we really got to talk about Kamara, man. Like, I know our offensive line is terrible. I know he's getting older, but it's starting to become noticeable now that he has really stepped out of his prime. Like, 11 carries for 28 yards. Like, this is just sad to see. And then looking at receiving, I will give Chris Olave props. 5 receptions for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. He really did try to keep us in the game, but it's just not enough to beat the Bears. Up next, we have the Chiefs completely shutting out the Raiders. This was probably one of the most pathetic Raider games I have ever seen. Like, this is absolutely pathetic. Like, 67 passing yards for Geno Smith, 21 rushing yards from Ashton Jeanty, 33 receiving yards from Trey Tucker. Like, there's nothing to look at. The Raiders were absolutely awful. And honestly, it's gotten to a point where I'm really starting to questioning the coaching. Like, maybe Pete Carroll is out of his prime at this point, coaching-wise. Now, looking at the Chiefs here, Patrick Mahomes had a very clean game, 286 yards and 3 touchdowns. Isaiah Pacheco had a pretty solid game as well, 15 for 57 and a touchdown. And then receiving was led by Travis Kelce with 3 receptions for 54 yards, but Rashee Rice did have 2 touchdowns in his return game. Really, though, like, there's nothing to look at here. Like, the Raiders look absolutely pathetic, and I just don't know what's going to fix this team. Like, I thought this was, like, a huge step up from last year, but they've looked the same, if not worse. Up next, we have the Colts whooping the Chargers here. Now, I don't want to hear any more people saying that the Colts are only beating bad teams, because the Colts went out there with a lot of firepower beating a legitimately good team. Like, the Colts are legit. Now, looking at Justin Herbert here, he had a really great game. He didn't really have that great of a game completion-wise, but he did have 420 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, despite having 2 picks. It's just that the Colts defense was just that good in this game. Leading rushing was Justin Herbert. That's a little bad to see, but receiving was led by Oronde Gaston II. 7 receptions for 164 yards and a touchdown. as well as Keenan Allen, 11 receptions for 119 yards and a touchdown. Like, I don't think he's completely out of his prime yet. Looking at the Colts now, Daniel Jones continuing to be a really good quarterback this season, 23 for 34, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rushing was insanely great. Jonathan Taylor continued to be probably the best running back in the football right now. 16 carries for 94 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then receiving was led by Alec Pierce with 5 receptions for 98 yards. Great game by Indianapolis, man. Now, you got to watch out for next week, though. You're playing Tennessee. I don't know if you're going to beat them. We'll see. Up next, we have the Packers barely beating the Cardinals. This one will probably be quick because I barely saw anything of this game. The only thing I question is how are the Packers even keeping these games close? Like, I think the Cardinals absolutely suck. And the Packers are just keeping it close with every team they face. Like, they're playing down to their competition. Like, why are they doing that? Now, looking at the Cardinals here, Jacoby Brissett once again starting for an injured Kyler Murray. He might not be a starting quarterback, but he can throw the ball, man. Like, 25 for 36, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's very respectable. Rushing is really nothing to look at. Receiving was led by Trey McBride with 10 receptions for 74 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, looking at the Packers, Jordan Love really didn't have to do much. 19 for 29, 179 yards and a touchdown. Josh Jacobs had a pretty solid game, 2 touchdowns as well as 55 rushing yards. And then receiving was led by Romeo Doubs with 6 receptions for 72 yards. Like, looking at the stats, like, they really didn't have to try, but they beat the Cardinals, so I guess 4-1-1. Up next, we have the Cowboys destroying the Commanders. Now, I know Jaden Daniels kept getting hurt. He's a bit injury prone at this point, but I called it. Like, I knew the Cowboys were going to win. I didn't think it was going to be this much of a blowout, but I knew they're going to win this game. Like, I don't think the Commanders are as good as a team as they were last year. Like, not even close. Looking at the Commanders here, Jaden Daniels, he had an okay game. Really not that special a game, honestly. Having a touchdown, but he didn't throw a pick. Marcus Mariota did come out, but he did throw a brain-dead interception. Ended up being a pick 6. Rushing was pretty pathetic. Like, you were looking at it, and it was led by both the quarterbacks. Like, what are we doing over there? And then receiving was led by Jalen Lane with 60 yards. I mean, I guess. Now looking at the Cowboys, it hurts to say it, but Dak Prescott's playing some of his best football he's played in a while. Like, 21 for 30, 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. Very clean game. Rushing was led by Javonte Williams with a very great game as well. 19 carries for 116 yards and a touchdown. And then receiving was led by CeeDee Lamb coming back with 5 receptions for 110 yards and a touchdown, as well as Jake Ferguson having 2 receiving touchdowns and George Pickens also having a great game. As much as it pains me to say it, like, the Cowboys are not a bad team. Like, not at all. Like, they're actually a pretty solid team. Up next, we have by far the craziest game of the week. We have the Broncos barely beating the Giants in a game the Giants should have won by, like, the 3rd quarter. Like, this was pathetic by New York. Other than the score looking high, like, this was honestly a very pathetic game by both teams. Like, the Broncos looked absolutely terrible in the first half. And then the Giants defense allowing that much points in the 4th quarter. Like, what are you guys doing over there? Like, it was a huge coaching. It's got to be coaching, honestly. Like, none of these teams deserve the win, but the Broncos got the job done. Now, looking at the Giants here, Jackson Dart really wasn't great completion-wise. Like, a lot of quarterbacks weren't very good when it comes to completions, but he threw for 283 yards and 3 touchdowns, so that's pretty good. Looking at rushing, Scatterboo had a pretty quiet game, 16 for 60 yards. Still good, but not as good as last week. But Tyrone Tracy and Jackson Dart both had rushing touchdowns. And then receiving was led by Wan'Dale Robinson, continuing to step up for Malik Neighbors, 6 receptions for 95 yards. But reception touchdowns came from Bellinger, Johnson, and Scatterboo. Now looking at the Broncos here, Bo Nix was absolutely awful in the first half, but he came alive in the second half. 279 yards and 2 touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins had a solid game, Bo Nix having both rushing touchdowns. And then receiving was led by Cortland Sutton with 6 receptions and 87 yards, and also Will Lutz having the game-winning field goal. I mean, I guess good game, Denver. Like, I don't think they deserve this win at all, but also New York didn't deserve it either, because how do you choke that big of a game? Like, come on, man. Up next, we have the Sunday Night Football game with the Niners beating the Falcons at home. This was kind of a boring one, but it was pretty simple. Like, Christian McCaffrey, like, honestly alone, just got the job done. Like, it was all Christian McCaffrey. And you also have to give credit to their defense, because with how battered of a team they are, with how battered their defense is, without Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, they're only holding up the Falcons to 10 points with how great they've been playing lately. Like, that's very respectable. Now, looking at the Falcons here, they really didn't do much. Michael Penix did as much as he could do. Bijan Robinson just couldn't get anything going. And then Darnell Mooney led receiving with 68 receiving yards. And Bijan did have a receiving touchdown, but they really didn't do much. Now looking at the Niners here, Mac Jones really didn't have that great of a game, but it didn't matter because CMC was running all over Atlanta. Like, this was his first triple-digit rushing yard game. 24 carries for 129 yards and 2 touchdowns as well, leading receiving with 7 receptions for 72 yards. Like I said, like, it was all CMC in this game. Like, he carried this team to a win, and with how battered they are, they're 5-2. Like, how crazy is that, man? Like, coaching is also a huge part of this too. Now we're moving on to the Monday Night Football doubleheader. I hope we do not have any of these again, but the first game we've got is the Buccaneers losing to the Lions. Honestly, this was a very sloppy game. Now, I know the Lions did enough to win, but both teams looked absolutely sloppy. Like, the Bengals especially, like, Baker Mayfield just couldn't get anything going. Like, the whole offense was out of sync. Like, he was not very good completion-wise. 50 attempts is crazy. He's going to have to ice his arm. And he just couldn't get anything going. Like, the rushing game was terrible. And then receiving wasn't very good either. Now, Mike Evans, prayers up to him. Very bad injury for him. I hope he comes back strong next season. It sucks that he couldn't get 1,000 receiving yards again, but hopefully he can just recover, man. And then Ibuka just couldn't get anything going either. Now, looking at the Lions, Jared Goff had a pretty solid game. Now looking at it, 20 for 29, 241 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Jahmyr Gibbs went absolutely off, 17 carries for 136 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then receiving was led by Amon-Ra St. Brown with 6 receptions for 86 yards and a touchdown. Also to note that Jahmyr Gibbs also had 3 receptions for 82 yards. Like, he had around 200 all-purpose yards. Like, fantastic game. It was just a really good win by Detroit. They definitely needed it. Now, they are both now 5-2. Still the top two NFC teams, but they both just need to heal up, man. And finally, the last game we had was the Seahawks beating the Texans. I did not watch almost any of this game because I'm not going to stay up till 10 o'clock to watch a fucking football game. Now, looking at the Texans, CJ Stroud really didn't have that great of a game. He did throw for a good amount of yards, but his completion for attempt wasn't great. Looking at the rushing, it was absolutely awful. And then receiving was led by Dalton Schultz with 9 receptions for 98 yards. But Marks did have the receiving touchdown. And then now looking at the Seahawks here, I guess Cooper Kupp had a throwing attempt, but it was picked off. But Sam Darnold, not great completion wise at all. Like 17 for 31, that's not good at all. But he did throw for a decent amount of yards, but I guess he had an okay game. I wouldn't really say he was all that good. Kenneth Walker had a pretty solid game, 17 carries for 66 yards, but the 2 rushing touchdowns did come from Zach Charbonnet. And then receiving was led by, once again, Jackson Smith-Njigba, probably being a top 5 receiver this season. 8 for 123 and a touchdown. Like, he's been so good this season. And overall, the Seahawks overall have been a good team this season. Like, they're 5-2. Keeping up with the Rams and the Niners, they're both 5-2. Like, it's been very competitive in the NFC West, and it's been really fun to watch. Like, Seattle's actually legit this year. And there you guys have it. That was me giving you guys my Week 7 NFL reactions. As you saw in those reactions, there was a lot of teams with pathetic games and a lot of pathetic teams this week. It was pretty quiet, but yeah, it was a lot of negative. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below how you're feeling about your team after this week, whether if you're a Raiders fan or a Giants fan, let me know. In the meantime, that's where I am going to be done for today. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos whenever I post. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.